Hello students. So in this video we will be solving the multiple choice questions of Julius Caesar Act 3 Scene 1. And before you start solving, first we will listen to an overview of this entire scene so that you can recall what happens in this scene, which in turn will help you to score more marks in the multiple choice questions. So in this scene, Caesar meets the soothsayer on the way to the capital and he says to the soothsayer, "See, the Ides of March has come, but nothing has happened to me." So here Caesar is trying to show the soothsayer that he is invincible and he cannot get hurt. But the soothsayer responds by saying, "But Caesar, it's not gone yet. It is still the Ides of March." That is when Artemidorus tries to warn Caesar through a letter, but Caesar says, "What concerns me shall be addressed last. So I will not be looking into what you have written in that letter." And if you remember in the previous act, the conspirators had not taken an oath because Brutus had been against it. So, since they had not taken an oath, their conspiracy had leaked. And Popilius wished Cassius a success in their endeavor. And in the capital, Metellus Cimber presents a petition to Caesar to revoke the banishment of his brother Publius Cimber. But Caesar says that flattery can influence ordinary men, and if he begs and pleads, Caesar will kick him out of the way like a dog. Also, Caesar says that he is constant like the North Star and cannot be moved or influenced easily. That is when Casca says, "Hands, speak for me," and he stabs Caesar. And the other conspirators follow and also stab Caesar. There is total chaos where people stare, run hither and thither, children are crying, and there is chaos as if it is doomsday. Cassius and Brutus discuss that they have actually done a favor to Caesar by killing him, as they have cut 20 years of his life. So cutting off 20 years of life is like cutting off 20 years of fearing death. And Brutus suggests to the others, "Let's bathe our hands in Caesar's blood and besmear our swords with blood, and let's go to the pulpit and go and explain to the people about our noble cause and that we have killed Caesar for the betterment of Rome." That is when a servant enters. So the servant was sent by Mark Antony. So the message says that if Brutus will swear that Antony may be safe to come here and also convinces him that Caesar deserved to die, then Mark Antony shall not love Caesar dead as well as Brutus living, and also will follow the destiny and affairs of noble Brutus. Brutus assures the servant that no harm will come upon his master Mark Antony. That is when Cassius warns Brutus against Mark Antony, saying, "I do not trust him, and most of my intuitions are usually true." But Brutus does not listen to Cassius. Antony is shocked to see the great Caesar lying below the statue of Pompey. And Mark Antony tells the other conspirators that if you think I deserve to die, I don't think there is a better time for me to die and no better weapon for me to be killed than to be now with the same weapon and during the same time that Julius Caesar was killed. But Brutus tells Mark Antony that please do not beg of your death. We might appear bloody and cruel, but please listen to what we have to say. Our hearts, they are pitiful. Mark Antony shakes the hands of all the conspirators, starting from Brutus himself. And then Antony seeks permission to produce Caesar's body in the marketplace and speak at his funeral. And Brutus allows Mark Antony to do that. And that was yet another big mistake that Brutus had done. And Cassius again warns Brutus, but Brutus assures him, saying that I will speak first in the pulpit, and only then will Mark Antony speak. And also, Mark Antony has to say that he is speaking with my permission. Once everyone exits except Mark Antony, he says, I predict a curse will fall upon the limbs of men. Domestic anger and fierce civil war will plague all parts of Italy. There will be blood and destruction everywhere, and mothers will be happy seeing their babies hacked to death. And finally, he says, all compassion will be choked by the habit of cruel deeds. He also says that Caesar's spirit will seek revenge with the goddess of hate by his side, and he will unleash the dogs of war, and people in earth will be rotting and dying and crying for burial. That is when a servant enters that Octavius Caesar wants to come to Rome. And the servant, when he sees Caesar's body, he starts weeping. So Antony says, your heart is big, go ahead and weep. I think grief is contagious because I see my eyes also filling with tears. Also, Antony tells him that tell Octavius not to come to Rome now as it is very dangerous. So he says, I will try to influence the people through my speech in the marketplace, and based on that, you will explain the situation to young Octavius. And they carry the body to the marketplace. So this is an overview of what happens in this entire scene. And now let's go to the multiple choice questions. So I'll be reading out the question. You can just write your answer in your notebook and you can check your answers, which is towards the end of the video. So first question, who is Caesar talking to in the beginning of the scene? A. Artemidorus, B. Soothsayer, C. Decius Brutus, or D. to himself? Second, who says A. Caesar but not gone? A. Soothsayer, B. Mark Antony, C. Decius Brutus, or D. Artemidorus? I think if you listen to the overview, you would get both answers right. Okay, let's move to the third one. When Artemidorus asked Caesar to read his letter first, how did Caesar respond? A. Come to the capital tomorrow and read it aloud. B. I have no time for trivial matters. C. We will attend to my matters last. Or D. Do not bother me while I am on my way to the capital. Fourth, why did Artemidorus ask Caesar to read his letter first? A. He felt others could influence Caesar. B. Because Caesar's life would change if he would read the letter. C. Because it affects Caesar directly. Or D. He wanted to impress Caesar. Fifth question. Who wishes Cassius on a successful enterprise? A. Publius, B. Artemidorus, C. Soothsayer, or D. Popilius? Sixth, who takes Mark Antony out of the capital? A. Metellus Cimber, B. Trebonius, C. He goes out on his own, or D. Cinna? Seven, how did Brutus come to know that the person was not talking about their enterprise to Caesar? A. His expression had not changed. B. He was smiling. C. Caesar's expression had not changed. Or D. Both B and C? Eighth, who calls Caesar most high, most mighty, and most puissant Caesar? A. Casca, B. Cinna, C. Metellicimber, or D. Brutus? Nine. How does Caesar respond to the praise? A. He feels happy and accepts it. B. He says the couchings and the low courtesies excite him. C. He dismisses it. Or D. He says that he does not get influenced by flattery. 10. If thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spur thee like a cur out of my way. Who does Caesar say the following words to? A. Metellicimber, B. Cassius, C. Popilius, or D. Decius Brutus? 11. Who says that he is constant like the North Star? A. Cassius, B. Brutus, C. Cinna, D. Caesar? 12. Who stabbed Caesar first? A. Cinna, B. Decius Brutus, C. Casca, D. Cassius? 13. What does the person say when he stabs Caesar? A. Caesar, thou art revenged. B. Speak, hands for me. C. Liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead. D. Ambition's debt is paid. 14. What are Caesar's last words as he falls? A. You too, Cassius? B. Brutus, how could you? C. You too, Brutus? Or D. Injustice has been made. 15. Who asked the senators and people not to be afraid and stand still as ambition's debt is paid? A. Marcus Brutus, B. Casca, C. Cassius, D. Decius Brutus? 16. What did Caesar mean when he said, Will thou lift up Olympus? A. Will you lift heavy weights? B. Will you try to do the impossible? C. Will you lift a mountain? Or D. None of the above? 17. How did Antony react to Caesar's death? A. He was excited. B. He was angry. C. He was confused. Or D. He was stunned. 18. The situation after Caesar's death was compared to A. marketplace, B. curfew, C. doomsday, or D. a war zone? 19. Who suggested that the conspirators bathe their hands in Caesar's blood? A. Mark Antony, B. Marcus Brutus, C. Cassius, or D. Decius Brutus? 20. Their heroic scenes will be reenacted in A. Places all over Rome, B. In accents yet unknown, C. In states unborn, or D. Both B and C? 21. Brutus says, How many times will Caesar bleed for sport? That now he lies on the base of Pompey's statue, no worthier than dash. A. Dust. B. Dirt. C. Blood. D. Honor. 22nd. Who is called the most boldest and has the best hearts of Rome? A. Brutus. B. Cassius. C. Caesar. Or D. Mark Antony. 23rd. Grant that, and then his death a benefit. So are we Caesar's friends that have abridged his time of fearing death. Who said these words? A. Cassius. B. Caesar. C. Brutus. Or D. Mark Antony. 24. On what conditions will Mark Antony shall not love Caesar dead so well as Brutus living? A. If he is not murdered like Caesar. B. If Brutus vouchsafe Antony's safety. C. Convince him that Caesar deserved to die. Or D. Both B and C. 25. Who does not trust Mark Antony and dissuades Brutus to believe him? A. Casca. B. Cassius. C. Metellus Cimber. Or D. Caius Ligarius. 26. What does Antony say when he sees Caesar under Pompey's statue? A. O Caesar, have you shrunk to this measure? B. O Caesar, fare thee well. C. He is speechless. Or D. O mighty Caesar, are you lying so low? 27. What does Mark Antony tell the conspirators as he sees Caesar's body? A. Who else of high rank must be killed? B. There is no time as apt as now to be killed. C. There is no better instrument to die to than the sword that killed Caesar. Or D. All of the above. 28. What does Brutus say to Mark Antony that he doesn't see? A. Their hearts are hollow. B. The good they have done. C. That their hearts are pitiful. Or D. The reason for their action. 29. What does the conspirator say will do to Mark Antony? A. Welcome him with love, good intention and respect. B. Consider him their brother. C. Treat him as their own. Or D. Take action against him. 30. Whose hand does Mark Antony first shake? A. Decius Brutus. B. Marcus Brutus. C. Caius Cassius. Or D. Casca. 31. Who says, Gentlemen, alas, my credit now stands on such slippery ground? A. Mark Antony. B. Marcus Brutus. C. Casca. Or D. Cassius. 32. If Caesar's spirit look down upon them, it shall grieve dearer than his death. Why? A. To see that Brutus stabbed him. B. To see all conspirators justifying their action. C. To see Antony shaking hands and making peace with his enemies. Or D. To see that the people he considered friends were murderers. 33. Which animal does Antony compare Caesar to? A dove, B. Deer, C. Beast, or D. Lion? "34. On what conditions does Brutus allow Antony to speak at the funeral? A. Brutus will first speak and Antony will speak only after him. B. Antony shall not blame the conspirators. C. He shall declare that Antony speaks only because of their permission. D. All of the above. 35. What does Antony predict would happen in Rome? A. Domestic anger and civil war will befall. B. Curse will fall on the limbs of men. C. Mothers will be happy to see their babies hatched. Or D. All of the above. 36. What will Caesar's spirit seeking revenge do with goddess 8 by his side? A. Cry out havoc. B. Unleash dogs of war. C. Prevent rotting bodies from being buried. And D. All of the above. 37. To whom does Antony say, "Thy heart is big, get thee apart and weep. Passion I see is catching for mine eyes"? A. Octavius Caesar. B. People in the crowd. C. Servant. Or D. Caesar's spirit. 38. What does Antony ask Octavius Caesar to do? A. Not to come to Rome until he has said so. B. To immediately come to Rome for sympathy. C. It is dangerous and never to come to Rome. Or D. Stay hidden in Rome. 39. What does Brutus ask Caesar to do for Publius Cimber? A. Publius should not be banished. B. To support him for a new position in Rome. C. To have an immediate freedom of repeal. D. To forgive him and accept him. 40. What is one grave mistake that Brutus did in this scene? A. Killing Caesar. B. Not taking oath. C. Trying to convince the crowd. Or D. Allowing Mark Antony to speak at the funeral. Okay, so I hope you have completed. There were 40 questions. Yes. So here is the answer key. You can pause the video and check your answers. This is a very important scene, especially after Mark Antony comes into the picture. So please go through this scene over and over again. Please watch the video where I have explained this entire scene line by line. I will be adding the link to that video towards the end. So please watch it. I hope you have already subscribed by now. Please share it with your friends and study well. You are remembered in my prayers. Thank you.